That's okay.
We
Learning necessitates that we don't know what's going on. If you knew what was going on, you wouldn't be learning.
No, I want to think.
Alright, so let's talk through these. I think everyone at least got these down. Are there any questions about the numbers that are supposed to be filled in here?
No, I got those. I still don't grab them.
Okay. So, did anyone, so I see here 1, 2, 3, 4 x-intercepts. Did anyone draw anything different for that first quartic function?
Our arrows were down.
Your arrows are down? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Notice you can also go down. It just needs to intersect the x-axis how many times? 4 times. So it can be, the behavior can be going up, it can be going down, that's fine. A lot of us didn't like the multiplicity of 4, but what does that mean is happening if it's a multiplicity of 4? It's just flattening out, right? So just, whoop. Not quite like it's not flat, but it is somewhat flatter. A lot of people don't like this one here where it's one real multiplicity of 1 and one real multiplicity of 3. But notice, if it's a multiplicity of 1, it almost kind of just looks like it's a line going through. But what does it kind of look like on the right-hand side here? Does that remind anybody of a function? A cubic? And that's exactly right. It's a multiplicity of 3, so what does it look like? A cubic going through the x-axis, right? That's what I want you to notice, and if you look at the left-hand side of your page on 3.3, it actually has an example of a cubic going through the x-axis, where it says one real multiplicity of 3. That's it. It's going to look like a cubic, right? That one root is showing up 3 times. Doesn't mean it's touching the x-axis 3 times, it's just a multiplicity of 3. Alright, so I didn't get anyone to do this one, and that's my bad. If it's 2 real, it's going to go through the x-axis how many times? Twice, and it's going to touch and go away from the x-axis how many times? So through, touch, and through. That's an option, right? Not saying that's the only option, but I went through it, I touched it, getting that multiplicity of 2, went back through it again afterwards.
Wait, so you said through it twice and then what?
So through it twice, and then just touching it once, just like a parabola touching it once. A quadratic. Okay. So that's a possibility. What about 2 real multiplicity of 2? Is this only 2 real roots? That's 4 distinct real roots, right? So we might want to modify this. I remember the person who I asked to do this had it right in the book, so they might have just misunderstood which one I was asking them to do. What does it need to do if it has a multiplicity of 2? It just touches. So just touch and touch again. That's okay. Right, so we just touch it, and we touch it again. You could also have it going down, doing the same thing. Just like that. Get the little McDonald's sign in there. For imaginary, what does that mean? It just doesn't touch. Okay. Could this have worked as well? Where I have 3 extrema, but it just doesn't ever touch the x-axis? Yes. For this one here, do I have 2 real distinct roots? What does it have to do to have 2 real distinct roots? That's, you're thinking if it's just touching, it's multiplicity of 2. If it's 2 distinct one, it has to go through it. So through and through. But what about for the 2 imaginary? If it's imaginary, does it touch the x-axis? No? So, right? So 2 distinct real and 2 imaginary never touches. Does that make sense though, Cameron? You good with that? Okay. So it's just, if it's two real distinct, we're talking about it going through. Each of those has a multiplicity of 1, and then the two imaginary means that I see the change there, but it's not touching the x-axis. And then one real multiplicity of 2. If it's a multiplicity of 2, it's just going to what? Is it going to go through the x-axis? If it's a multiplicity of 2, it's just going to touch, and then boom. Remember, we can always do this upside down as well. Right? 2 imaginary, multiplicity of 2. Okay? I'll go ahead and tell you, tomorrow we're going to start with an understanding check. It shouldn't take us too long, I'm hoping 15 to 20 minutes, and we won't go over it. But then we'll get into this activity 3.4, and we're going to start new content after that. Actually, I might be getting to lesson 4 after that. We're going to have to do a new unit starting on Friday, I think is what we'll see. We'll see about that. Say again? I'll pray about it. What about Friday? So don't forget, this is what the homework is, right? If you haven't already turned in 165 and 182, that was due on Monday. The literacy for all was also due on Monday. The review that we talked about at the beginning of class and the graphic organizer should have been turned in today. Please leave it on your desk so I can collect it if you have not already done so. I need that graphic organizer complete. Yeah, you turned it in yesterday. Oh, I didn't hear. You got DJ, Gracie, and Shannon already. So now I got a total of 5. Yes, ma'am. Remind me about it again. I'm sorry, my head was. Gotcha. Okay, I'll take that right now. No, I'm just going to take that one out. What's up? I mean, you can. Looks like I did not make enough copies. You'll have to come back and get it. Hold on one second. Maybe I have. Nope, I don't have it. I'll have to make an extra copy. M1-129.
See you tomorrow.
See ya. Here you go.